live. Okay, so Sabre, you wanted to get a session in to talk, primarily to talk about your theater run and to go over the Flarp set, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but can you kind of go over like how you're feeling and what's going on right now?
Hmm. So I think um, I was talking to one of my friends about it like just before this. I don't think I was playing particularly well. At least I had this feeling like I'm just not doing the things that I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
My problem is that there is a lack of consistency that I have when I go to like develop a game plan. So maybe I'll go in to the first two games or whatever and start out strong, and then something will happen and it'll sort of fall apart. And maintaining that focus is really hard. I think in general, though, there's a lot of things about my skill floor that I lack. Like in the DVD set, I just don't. I like wasn't doing basic stuff like grabbing ledge and edge guarding in scenarios that would have made sense. But I think that I don't have a sense of direction that I need, and I've been spending all this time kind of winging it, just going forward into a game plan, like somewhat prepared, but like it's not like I'm putting all the effort I've spent into a specific focus. And so it's like me usually relying on figuring something out from the get-go, and then my success seems to depend on that. So I think that I would like to try and streamline the direction I take the game, like mentally, into something that I can just like actually plan out. Because I think, when you get to this like level, these people have sort of figured out, how they want to go about the game, and I don't really feel like I'm there yet, and I'm behind in that regard, and for a bunch of other reasons as well. But I think on a macro level, that's the big difference.
Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Something I would suggest we kind of look at first then is... Oh, that's right. Thank you, VG. I had the desktop audio down low because it's playing a loud game. Okay, that should be better now. Something I wanted to go over first then is, like you mentioned, building a game plan, for a matchup or in a general sense.
Which is something like the last session, like that was the point of the last session, you know what I mean? And that was a good idea for the character-specific matchups, with theater being unique in that I had the time to do so, and that I also knew exactly who I was playing before it happened. But in a larger sense, yeah, like a general direction for what I should be doing, how to best use this character in neutral, to give me a basis for how I should operate, which I know that's pretty general. Yeah, I know. That's why we did matchup-specific ones. But I think it's like, unfortunately, it's even more basic than that, and the changes I need to make. So
no, that's a fortunate thing, right? Like, if you can do that wacky cutter dash thing, it's like, okay, that's the hard part. Implementing it is relatively easy compared to being able to do it.
Yeah,
because that's just a button you can press on your hand that says, "Oh, do cutter dash scrimblow bimblow," right? I don't know if there's an actual name for that cutter dash like landing thing, but
low angle, low landing cutter dash. Yeah,
gotcha.
It's no real name.
But if you have that in your pocket, then that's another tool you have. Even if it's not a fundamental thing, it's another button you can press to press someone else's buttons, right? So let me actually get to full screen. There we go. So, if it might be easier to start kind of by backing out even a little more, a little louder. Okay, sick. Okay, let me know if he's too loud. That should be good now, though. So let's ignore the opponent. Let's ignore who you're playing against. Right? That's not important right now. We're talking about you and Kirby.
Right.
I think there's some basic stuff that you can kind of do even from that to help you get into that TLDR of like a matchup, and then go from there and have that foundation to fall back on. When players at this level, it's gonna happen where you're gonna think a matchup goes one way, and they're gonna hit you a way you never would have imagined. You never would have dreamed that to say Flarp would do this, or that Kais could make Charizard move like that. And then you have to reevaluate on the fly.
Yeah.
I think the building blocks are basically like... let me see, is this show up good? Yeah, this shows up good on pretty much all the colors on screen. Okay. The building blocks are going to be... So punish... Neutral, it's any... Yep. There we go. And then edge guarding, which I have to abbreviate because it is simply too long. So, if you want to think your anime pie chart, right? You got in Naruto, you got Kabuto like handing out cards, being like, "Oh, you want to see Sabre's card? Oh, yeah, $20."
My God.
But basically, this is going to change based on matchup. So, especially the more extreme matchups like Luigi, right? Even without having looked at the matchup super in depth, you know that Punish is going to be like a point of concern because it's harder and weirder. And the neutral is also kind of weird, and edge guarding isn't like, it's not the weirdest thing. But you already have two-thirds of your foundation is going to be like unique, awkward, abnormal, whatever you want to call it. So we can just kind of start from there, right? Let me scrap this. So let's just talk about, right, Punish. And for any character. I'm not going to use Luigi-specific stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very kindly for the follow and the reminder to meet that. No offense. So let's say Punish, right? You're going into a character, or to a matchup against a random character. Your Punish is going to be, what do you get off? Grab? Then what do you get off of, like... I guess I'll call this loose Punish. So, like, for example, for Luigi, when you F-throw up air Luigi, and, like, that's the end of the combo, but now what? Like, you still have an advantage.
Yeah.
So whether you want to think of it as advantage state, kind of like sharking, kind of all that's bundled together. And then I think the last thing for general Punish would be how easy. So, like, for example, if the Punish on Fox is throwing him off stage, how easily do you get that grab? In that situation where that's a relevant thing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, not even looking at Luigi, I'm just listing grab because it's super important, especially for Kirby F-throw. So, we can look at, okay, how, what is the reward up F-throw? What kind of characters, fall speed, weight class, combo breaker moves does this character have?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is the advantage state or the loose Punish, right? What are their options for landing? What are their options for, like, getting out of the corner, getting off the ledge? And then the ease of use of everything is, what options are likely to hit and what is the risk reward on those versus what options are unlikely to hit and what's the risk reward on those. I'd separate risk and likelihood of hitting because, like, if you just grounded side B at this distance, there is a 1% chance Flarp wave dashes into you and gets hit. But it's probably not going to happen even though it has almost no risk. Mm-hmm. So we can just kind of work backwards from this, right? So this will inform other things too. So one of the cleanest examples is a Punish, whether it's a grab, one of your other combo starters like an up tilt or a forward air back air, that leads very cleanly into an edge guard situation depending on what kind of character you're playing against. This loose Punish or advantage state obviously is very, very tied into neutral. Same thing with ease of use and, like, what you can safely do versus what you have to take a risk to do. And we can go around the circle here. I'm not going to go as in depth for this one, right? But for edge guarding, it's like, okay, can they reversal me? Can they? What would be the term for this be? Howdy, y'all. Would they be able to, like, does dare kill? Like, does just one down air kill them? So when you can ask just like, and this sounds like a lot of questions when it's all at once, but if you just ask one or two of these questions per, like, before you go into a match, it really like gives you a starting place, right? So like, for example, Luigi, does dare kill? Yeah, pretty much. Okay, cool. So now in punish, you want to prioritize getting him off stage and low if possible, which means in neutral, you want to look for options that, maybe not neutral air if it sends him super high. You may want to look for options that send him like horizontally, push him to the corner. You may want to, depending on, for Luigi, you don't want to threaten him in the corner, even though your reward's higher because your risk is way higher. So even just having one, and that's all from just like, oh, dare's a really good edge guard tool against Luigi. There's not a lot he can really do about it. Which is an overgeneralization, but you can use these kind of generalizations to build off of. And now all of a sudden, with this one observation, we have a very loose game plan. You want to hit Luigi horizontally off stage and dare him. And then from there, let me actually get to where it goes to ledge. That's close enough. And then from there, the question is, okay, cool, I have my punish. Right, Luigi's... Let me see if I can get to a better... Okay, great. Now I have my punish. So how do I get to dare? How do I get to something that kills Luigi at 80? Do I go to ledge? And part of this you have to kind of just do in the moment. So like here, right? You probably can't get to ledge in time just because he's closer. So you have to make a call on what else to do. I believe for this one, what you end up doing is threatening back air. No, this one you back off. But like part of this is going to be just having that game plan, and part of this is going to be improvising based on what you already... what you already kind of like have thought about prior. Because if you want to think about it a little more like set in stone, if you think about something ahead of time, science-wise, that pathway in your brain is a little faster now that you've already thought about it. So if you have to see this situation and make a decision right now, and maybe it's easy to forget that you've sniped a jump, right? Or what Flarp's habits are, because it's only 20 seconds in, and this wasn't one of your guaranteed pools matches you prepared for. You need all that kind of like optimization you can get with regards to like, okay, well I know what I want to do. I know what kills Luigi. Maybe you go for short hop dare or short hop bear, right? Like you have a goal in mind to move towards, and then from that goal you can orient. Okay, what is the information that I'm getting from my opponent? How does that fit in? AKA the habits, the character-specific stuff, etc. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Hello?
Okay, I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was drinking water. I forgot I have Discord noise suppression on now, so you don't hear clickety-clackety quite as much. All right. That's a pretty... I know I talked about that for a few minutes, but that is all pretty... Starting from zoomed out, and then using the zoomed out picture as you move forward to go, okay, I know what I want to do broadly against this character. So now in this situation, this specific screenshot, right? What action do I take what action do I think will most likely work? And you can use that in a lot of different situations, right? So like with neutral, you go, oh, it's Luigi at 120 in neutral. What do I need to hit him with to kill him? Or to put myself in a very good position? Maybe I'm at 120. What do I do that's very safe? Does Luigi have to take a significant risk? Because you can also kind of do it backwards, right? So like, let's say instead of your punish on Luigi, or let me rephrase it this way. When you're considering risk-reward, that's yellow on blue. That's not a good call. When you're considering risk-reward, you're looking at it from two perspectives, right? You are splitting a timeline. You are going, in this timeline, the bad timeline, my thing doesn't work and I get hit for it. How badly do I get hit? And in this timeline, my thing works out exactly the way I want. What is the best case scenario? So just by running this risk reward on any number of options, right? like you can absolutely be wrong on like, especially when it comes to like these higher level players who are really pushing their characters and really pushing like reading their opponents and things like that. You can definitely get surprised over here. There are still variables, but if at the end of the day, if the risk is, oh, I get dash attack by Luigi, and the reward is I up smash Luigi, you probably take that risk.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the most part, I think being able to kind of start broad, start general with, I am playing Kirby. Kirby wants to do A, B, or Kirby, my goals in this matchup are, toss Luigi off stage, maybe kill Luigi off top, etc. And then just working from there can help you when you don't have that extensive amount of time like we did before pools. And also, I don't know if I properly congratulated you for... It was a reverse 3-0, right? On DVD, one of the best players in the world against floaties.
Yeah.
Heck
it was
yeah.
a reverse 3-0. That was... Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, like that's... When you can play your game, you can definitely do that level of stuff. Like, I have no doubt in my mind. And I'm not trying to imply that you're the only one standing in your way here, because that's like that's an unfair generalization. But like, if you can kind of apply a more generalized perspective of that to just any given tournament set, then I think you once you have that foundation to kind of kick off from, you'll feel a lot more confident in being able to kind of to experiment with stuff, right? Just to kind of get funky with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've noticed a pattern in all the sets that, like, at least I guess ones that would be considered upsets where I do really well is I reached a certain point where, like, I don't know, I was able to play my game plan, and these would usually happen either later in the tournament or later in a set. But the thing is, I'm not really sure how that happens. It almost feels spontaneous, like things kind of click into place, and that is why I said it's just not sustainable, because I need to know why, like, I'm able to get there or why I'm not,
Gotcha.
And just winging it isn't going to help, or really, at least in the long run.
Yeah. I think that's also a really healthy way to look at it. Like, you wanna be here for the long haul, right? You don't want to just have one really good upset and then just be like, oh, I'm good. And you're going towards practice methods and ways of playing that work with that. I think that's really, really informed.
Well, thanks. I mean, I would love to play more sets. Get it? Being knocked out early isn't as fun as playing more. So, yeah.
I feel you. So on the note of kind of that consistency, I don't want to assume your like mentality. So please, I'm not trying to, and please let me know if I'm doing so. But in my experience, which is a little limited, I'm one person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, when I felt like that, it would be after tournaments where some wacky stuff happened, right? So whether it was an upset or even if it wasn't a necessarily significant upset, it was like, oh, that set went better than I expected, or that set was closer than I expected. And like, I get, whether positive or negative, I get rattled a little bit. And then from there, it becomes either the high highs or the low lows.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, keep going.
Something that helped me kind of stabilize a little bit was really just focusing in on what I wanted to do, both like as a player and then as a character, right? So what I want to do as a player is just kill people at 20 because it's funny. So I got really good at back to ledge shield grabbing people and forcing situations where I could get that shield grab because that was the reward that I personally enjoyed. And then as a character, Mewtwo obviously has a billion things that he's good at. But I learned how to get to those situations more frequently, right? Where I get, for example, I get the shield grab or I get, the grab in general. and then how to take those situations further, right? Like, so I think self-proclaimed a little bit, but I got really good at this exact positioning, right? Not this positioning, but like,
Yeah.
there's little ears. Yep, that's a Mewtwo. No, that's too angry. He's there he is. That's Mewtwo.
Yeah, slanty face.
Yeah, but like this back throw positioning, I have like 3 different routines I can run on people when I'm like trying to figure out what I think they're gonna do, because I've been in the situation a billion times and I love the situation. Like I'm playing to my character strength and my personal enjoyment, so it becomes less of like, mission prep and more just like, ooh, Flarp, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna jump? It's scary to jump. Are you gonna jump? Like that kind of thing. It becomes a game again, right? And you can absolutely do that with any character, especially with Kirby. Let me get rid of that. Like edge guarding in a similar way, but like your F throw combos, any character that has extremes like Luigi, right? Like every time Luigi's in the air, you can have one of those like, oh, you're gonna press the Nair button. Are you gonna hold out this time? Is that primal fear inside all floaties, myself included? Is it gonna win out today? And being able to kind of recognize those repeatable situations and take advantage of them, I think goes a long ways towards consistency in this game.
Yeah, for sure.
So another Kirby example, you down throw him, I think 2 or 3 times in this set, and he just hard DIs in every time. So much so, actually, that about this percent, he goes above your jab. And then, that becomes a problem. Excuse me. That's a situation that if you want to kind of, put time into, you absolutely can. That can be kind of I don't want to say a calming kind of effect, because that implies that, instability is only from anxiousness and nerves, which it isn't really 100% right, but it can be a grounding effect of oh, I've been in this situation before, right? I've downthrown floaties before. I've downthrown Flarp before. I've downthrown dozens of people standing in my way before, right? However specifically you think about it that works for you.
Yeah.
And that can kind of get you back into that consistent place where it's not like, oh God, it's game 5. It's game 5. Oh God. It's no, I'm down throwing someone. Okay. I know what to do here. I know how to use the information I have to make a guess one way or the other. And whether I'm right or wrong, I'm using the information to make a guess. I'm not scrambling.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to imply that you're just guessing and you're scrambling all the time. Those are, in my experience, how I usually become inconsistent in my play. And that is a method that I've kind of used, is finding the situations where things are consistent. So out of shield options, out of throw options, ledge options, even my opponent's ledge options, right? I have played so much Lucario Mewtwo. Lucario with the ledge is a calming presence to me. Not because it's easy to deal with, but because I know what's going to happen. It's going to be one of 4 or 5 things, and whether I get hit or not, it's not a surprise.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think part of it too, that in here specifically, is it plays into what you said earlier, where things aren't so uniform when it comes to a character like Luigi. So,
yep.
I definitely there are a lot of things I'm sure that I could figure out that I haven't, in terms of how to change that general game plan, because he is weird to fight, and there was a lot of stuff I was not respecting or dealing with properly. So,
yeah. We can look at that Luigi-specific stuff as we kind of go through the set.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to get up front, it sounded to me, and it still sounds to me your goal is to kind of partially to obviously review the set and stuff, but primarily also to be able to have a plan and be able to have that consistent game plan And that way to get back to that consistent, oh, I know what to do here, or I have an idea of what to do here, or I know what I have to do to kill him here, right? Something to fall back on.
Yeah, and I think I think habits transcend matchups for me. There you can see me follow very specific patterns in like all these sets sometimes. So I think that's another thing to tackle as well. Uh, in this set and all the others. I mean, it may change a little bit with the matchup, but I think like from neutral, you'll see me just like, I don't know, commit at the wrong times. I think it does ultimately have to do more with like poor decision making, like as a blanket statement than matchup specific stuff. Although both are definitely a problem. But I think going through something like this is perfect for identifying some of those problems.
Yeah, these extreme characters like Luigi are really good at just kind of pointing out where you're autopiloting.
Yeah, and so are really good players like Flarp.
Oh yeah,
that helps too.
I'm not trying to imply that Flarp isn't a really good player. That's my bad.
Oh no, of course, yeah. I like Flarp.
It's a fun. It's the most Luigi tag too. Just Flarp.
Flarp, he's funny. He's a great guy. But I do think that was the nice thing from theater, coming away and like getting my ass beat. Definitely is something that I think is needed for me too. So there's nothing like some of these players that just highlight your flaws so easily, and they make me just feel so dumb because I was like, oh man, that was so obvious, but someone just has to clown on you a little bit to make it known.
Yeah. Hey, well, look at it this way: you got to like, even if you're getting clowned on, you got there to get clowned on. I don't mean like purposes, but like, you know, even if you get 6-0'd in grands, you made it to grands. So it's only going up from here. And honestly, I've learned more from getting bodied than I have from super super close sets.
That is definitely how I best learn historically is like punching upwards, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's nice to have the opportunity to like do that against people where it's you can't find many other people to punch higher than that, you know, or punch at higher.
Oh yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, no, that wasn't a negative statement. It was because it was more of a positive one, but definitely the fact remains that it was a good experience for that exact reason. So
yeah, there's no it's that one of my favorite phrases. There's no faster way to find the correct answer to something than confidently proclaim the incorrect answer on the internet. It's kind of the same thing, you know, right? When you're in this kind of environment of like, there's no faster way to figure out, you know, what you're doing wrong than to go play the best players in the world for a few days, and they'll tell you, they'll show you what's going wrong.
Yep, they don't even got to say it; they make it clear.
Yep, hands are a universal language.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Turns out Luigi is not, because I don't understand some things.
He's a weirdo, dude. It's
literally like it's my fault though, because I definitely Flarp is so godlike at the ledge, and I pushed him there so much. And the major takeaway I had from this set was like I went in with the right idea of being really, really patient, and I did not follow that through after game one. And then eventually it just made things harder and harder to deal with. So
yep,
it's another core thing to, you know, maintaining that goal throughout the whole set or a tournament has been difficult. So
I think something that can help with that is also being able to like, and at least for me again, I think that for me that helps having those more concrete situations, because it's easy to see when like, oh, this worked, right? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, let's say down third tech chasing. Just assume that they have to tech chase and they're not named Luigi. When you down third tech chase and you know you're correct and you get a hammer kill, it's like, okay, cool, that worked. Not only does that make me happy, and kill them, which you know is what you want, but it's something that you know you can go back to. So you're not as pressured to find some answer. You always have that backup.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Luigi though. So, some overview things I want to hit about basically the whole set. Then I have specific timestamped examples of these. But these are the big things. Is you miss out on a lot of opportunities with your CCing, and I don't think that's a Luigi problem specifically. There was like 3 or 4 times where he's at like triple digits and you CC down tilt, something that is like a jab combo. And it's like, no, he's not even knocked down. Corey.
Could have grabbed him. I know. I didn't know that specifically, but yeah, I hear that all the time. It's like, why'd you do it? Why'd you do that? That's the exact problem. You know? It's like, why did people just tell me, oh, I saw your set, good stuff, but why did you do this there? And I'm like, I don't know, you know. But
it's CC down tilt and I'm very guilty of that habit. I just get away with it because Mewtwo down tilt is Mewtwo down tilt, but you do, like you had mentioned, you don't quite have the same room for that. You don't have that margin of error or that margin of neglect with Kirby as some top tiers.
yeah, there's a chance with that specific thing. I was not, at least for like one of those times, that I was maybe not trying to do that down tilt and just straight up messed up and was trying to, I don't know, like grab. Because I would talk before about how I had that problem where I would like either do some sort of jab or a down tilt out of a CC trying to go for a grab. It was just a me problem. So that is possible, but it is also equally likely I just decided to down tilt. So either way, yeah, not good.
Yep, and it only comes up a few times in the set, but it always hurts because again, with the power of being able to pause, rewind, and see everything that went wrong, of course. During a set, it's much harder to realize, but it's especially heartbreaking when it's like, I can pause and go back or, go forward and count the times. Because when you're in the set, you have a billion other things to think about.
Yeah.
So even if you do notice it, it's not something you can just like stop, think of a punish, and then, queue up for next time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I think this is kind of a Luigi thing, because he's such an extreme. You need to respect his character-specific zones a little bit more. Again, actually, this is great. So obviously, like you had mentioned, ledge. This is his zone. I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to touch him here. You just can't. It's not worth it. Additionally, I noticed primarily in the later games, so I think you probably were aware of this. Later on in the set, you try to shark him in this position with up air a lot. It's just not in your favor. Because that down air and even that nair, Flarp doesn't press nair this high very often, but even like he'll down air here, and it's like you're really kind of like hedging your bets because that's a bad trade for you. You get knocked off stage, he just goes up and he can fast fall.
Yeah.
To say nothing of like any specific percent or stock or situation, etc. Yeah, in this game, you actually you try to shark his landing horizontally a lot, which is great. That's what you should be aiming for in this matchup because he doesn't have near as much control over those things.
Mm-hmm.
And something you did well is, in addition to the sharking in game 1, is again, this is primarily in game 1 because you just did a much better job of executing what you wanted to execute in this game. But you did a lot of things that controlled horizontal space very safely. You used your aerials. You stayed out of range of his aerials, so that it's not a full-on dead zone, but like if Luigi's right here, he doesn't have the left-right movement. He's either going to be wave dashing, which is like here. All right, let me, approaching that way, or he'll be short hop aerialing, which is kind of just like here, depending on drift. I'm assuming he's drifting forward. So if you can kind of just play, which you did in this game, playing like right here is really, really powerful because you can still threaten the wave dash because he's right on top of you. You can just press your fastest button, but you're still outside of range of his short hop aerial, like double aerial pressure, things like that. And you made his life pretty hard in game 1. Like you definitely like achieved your goal in that way.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Then the last thing before we just get into the games is I think you could benefit from looking at like specifically spatial risk reward, right? I will call this out in the Green Hill game. I don't know if I actually have the timestamp for this one written down, but I remember it very clearly. There's a point where you die at like 80 because you try to overshoot. You basically go here, you overshoot Luigi in the corner, and Flarp just like short hop dares, and he gets you on the right side and you die. That's like, as an example, at least, that's the only way you die there.
Yeah.
So, and you shouldn't take no risks. Taking no risks means you'll never win. But like, trying to take risks where you get another chance even if you're wrong can really, really help long term, especially against a character like Luigi, he's not going to like run off stage and be super oppressive towards you compared to like a lot of other characters. Like, he's going to bully you in the corner, but like from on stage where you have you'll have your access to your options, like shield, any ledge options you want. He's not going to like for example, Kirby, if you get Luigi off stage, you can go out there and kill him. There's still a large threat of losing an interaction that results with Luigi going off stage. Like, he's not safe. Whereas when you get knocked off stage, like, you're not 100% safe, of course, but there's not a ton that Luigi can do to surprise you. So being able to consider, like, the different spaces on the stage in your risk reward, I think, will go a very long way. Both, like, defensively and offensively. Like I mentioned, I do want to talk about edge guards at some point, but I will bring that up when we get there. I think the good news is that there's a lot that will seem obvious in hindsight, I think, in that whole, the VOD recording space where it's like, oh, yeah. Okay. So this is actually, that's right there, the first example. You're not really, let me back it up a little bit. This is a Luigi zone. Like, you don't want to be jumping up here at the same timing as he falls. Because he's just going to get that down air, and you can't really contest it from below. So what happens is when you jump into it, that's a bad trade for you, both on percent, and now he's actionable first on a platform. Like, he's where he wants to be on the stage, basically. That being said, however, notice this. He's doing his short hop double aerials. Oops. Let's just play the sequence, actually, rather. So you can do short hop double aerial, down B. You're going to punish it. And then you left, right, try to bait out that nair. And you do. Like, you successfully bait out the nair. You don't quite grab him for it, which is fine. Like, in a perfect world, right? But, like,
so close.
Yeah, that's Kirby grab range, too. Wow.
I think that's like towards the end. That's got to be when yeah. Otherwise, they would have grabbed just a little too late.
What was? How am I in the search bar?
Early, rather.
Yeah, the action frames must have been gone by this frame because this would have grabbed shield. But regardless, like, this is a very good idea to punish that option and just keep Flarp from being able to just press nair for free. In a little bit here, you're going to knock him off stage. So here, he's going to jump to this platform. He falls through it, and he has no jump. And you kind of just like look at him as he recovers. This is something you can. This is one of those positions that, like, when you back up, like when you zoom out for the kind of macro game plan, right? This is one of those huge positions that you absolutely want to take advantage of. Like, even if he had his jump here, he has to do something to get to ledge. And even though he's really close to it, like, he's not a spacey. He can't just snap to ledge when he's just outside of range. So this is an awful position for him, even double jump aside. And you don't quite recognize it in the moment, and you stay very conservative as if, like, he's going to Mewtwo teleport at you, He also doesn't have much of a reversal potential. Like, you're at low percent, it's Luigi. The only way you die is if he does, like, rising down air and you get hit by the meteor hitbox and don't notice. And that's an extraordinarily specific situation. Okay. And then, right here.
Yep.
So he does this the entire set. You never tell him it's a bad idea.
Gotcha.
He's either, at the very tail end of a combo or just about actionable right about here. And you consistently go for the back air that will hit him if he doesn't jump. Which is, like, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Especially for the first few, where like this was very close to just being a punish. But you never like... I've never seen Luigi do that. You never like kill... You never hit him for this.
Gotcha.
So, especially when you can get a floaty to jump, especially a single jump floaty, not even like a multi-jump floaty. If you can get them to jump over you here, this is a huge opportunity. Because if you can hit them for this, one, if you can hit them and put them in the same situation, they can't jump anymore. But two, if you can hit them for this, that's going to convince them next time, maybe I shouldn't jump. It's going to make that a decision for them. Because I believe for the whole set, you never punish this kind of jump. So Flarp never has to make a decision on here, aside from the first time. He can just go, I'm just going to jump. Especially against Luigi, where a lot of his threat is vertical, and when he's already jumped, he's not really in control of his left-right near as much. Because his drift is atrocious. So it's not like he's going to like Wario or Puff like, drift to like mix up while landing. He doesn't really have that option. He does that really, really good down air, which you got to worry about. Okay, and then here's the first example of the CC.
Nice.
It's where you get this, you CC this jab, and you don't really even get the knockdown. You kind of just get a reset to neutral, like 9%. We've already talked about it, but just like, this is something to try to look at with a game plan. So maybe something you can add, you can have a little short questionnaire of like, before you go into a match of, okay, what do I do? What do I do out of CC? What do I do to edgeguard? What do I do to punish? What do I do neutral? Like, not all of them, but just like one or two of those. If that can help you kind of stay in the mindset of either your opponent's character or of like thinking about what you need to do, that might be something worth trying. Okay. And then here. So this is not a huge problem, but when you give Luigi ledge here, it's going to hurt long term. Like you can't always contest this ledge, but we're less than a minute in, and Flarp has seen you really like not commit to edge guarding him twice now. That's going to give him a lot of confidence in going for ledge and just kind of assuming you'll get out of the way, because that's what you've done so far. Especially at lower percents, let me back up. I think, as a floaty, as Mewtwo especially, so as a character that does not get punished hard, admittedly, with my privilege checked at the door, I think early in sets is when you should be going for those like slightly riskier edge guards. Because, let me back up a little bit. Let's say, like looking at risk reward, right? Let's say the risk here of you going out and back airing or going to ledge. The risk is you get hit by misfire. That's probably the biggest thing you can get hit by. It's kind of a so what. Like, you don't want to get hit by misfire, but that's unlikely to happen. He's unlikely to do it there. And if you don't convince your opponent that you're going to go up off stage and hit him, kind of like with that jump, they're not going to have to worry about this. So instead of this being 5 seconds of Flarp going like, okay, how do I land? Where am I going to go? Am I going to pretend to go to ledge? Am I going to like side B to ledge? Am I going to have to go low and up B? I still have down B. Do I go super low and down B? What about dare? He's going like, next time he'll be going like, okay, he'll move, right? It's about 5 seconds. He's floating, admittedly, but it's about 5 seconds of low intensity gameplay as opposed to Flarp being concerned that he's at 130 and a bear will kill him, right? I have to get some water.
You say backer?
Yeah, because he also has no jump at this point.
Yeah.
He has down B and a possible misfire, well, like 1 out of 5, 1 out of 7 right now. But basically, the longer the set goes on, the less he cares about this position because you have not killed him for it, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
Okay, enough about that. You have a really, really good awareness. So check the Smashville plat here. Luigi's tied to this plat a lot more than most characters.
Mm-hmm.
And as the plat moves to the right, you acknowledge that. You don't push your advantage while he's trying to approach because he's Luigi with a platform. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And you literally just wait it out. And I think that's great. That's really, really good awareness of like the advantage your opponent has is on a timer. Then I want to skip ahead a little bit. Last thing in this game. Roommate's dog is making noise. She's talking. You do this really, really good down B. Is it right here? This one. And at this spacing, that down tilt's a great punish. Because that gets him off stage.
Yep.
And like that is the perfect spacing. He's right about 50%. That's a a chunky hit. That's he's starting to get into the danger zone. If he gets hit by down B into aerial, he's at like percent. Where a bear will kill him if he doesn't have the resources left to recover. Where getting knocked off stage by that down tilt could be a problem. He has to worry about how to get back. He has to manually time that double jump to get back. There are worlds where he dies here. Not many, but there are worlds. Oops, not far enough. Off of this down tilt, he's also... down smash. I thought he was smashing down tilt out of CC. Why would he be doing that? But because he has to jump here, there are worlds where you dare here, right? And he dies. Or comes very close to it at least. And even here, you see, he's drifting back so much. Like he's staying as far away from this ledge as possible while still being able to grab it. To make your possible down... Oops, not mute. To make your possible down air as hard as possible. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me just play the whole thing again. Because if you commit to that and he jumps into it, he's just dead at 50. Mm-hmm. He's dead at 50 for trying to CC down smash after whiffing a grab on a move that was perfectly spaced. And this is the kind of optimization. Not even that you should be doing this every time, rather, but enforcing this threat is the stuff that'll really, really get people making mistakes and hesitating. Okay, so that was... Like I said, for the most part, for the rest of game one, you do a pretty good job of just acknowledging that the horizontal space is your space and the vertical space is Luigi's space.
Yeah.
So I do want to go a little further into game two. Actually, what do you do out of this here? Okay, you still threaten. That's right. Yeah, the Luigi ledge dash is powerful. It's just one of those. When Luigi does this, he's choosing to shield here. He's not shielding out of necessity. This is his world. Just a little brawl final smash, the Luigi zone. There's a negative space. That was always a weird final smash. It's are you just that depressed, man? Are your vibes that bad to where I'm just falling asleep?
Poor Luigi.
Even in the zone games. All right. Okay. Well, yeah. What did you ban here? You banned FD Greenhill or FD Wario?
Yeah, a bit of a discrepancy between those two.
I can kind of get Wario because it's hard for you to contest vertically.
Yeah.
I'm curious why FD over... no, obviously, this is, again, the power of electronic recordings in hindsight. Why not ban Fountain? Because this seems like a really bad, going between platforms doesn't seem super good for you.
Yeah, so I didn't think about that at first. I banned FD simply because I had this... I kind of realized, wow, I'm not doing the stuff I need to do in those scenarios you talked about. Not specifically those, but I was I'm not getting him at ledge. I need, less stage. I need him to not live as long. But then I kind of was just I don't want to go to Wario's because I feel like that's kind of the reason that I didn't ban Fountain. But I was kind of trying to adhere to the idea that Kirby and Triplats goes well together, and I think FOD is typically a pretty good stage for him. So, but contextually, I didn't realize that. Yeah, that probably should have went, and had I probably would have banned that over FD and just dealt with it. But
gotcha.
The lack of optimization with my offstage game made me think that FD could have been really bad, forever how founded that may have been, and it might have just been a self-defeating prophecy as well. So
I think it's a
But
little
yeah,
bit of the
it was
latter.
rough. Yeah, it was rough on FOD. I will say that.
Because on, like, as the Luigi player, I'm sure Flarp was very surprised that you banned FD.
Yeah.
And then I think that it's good that you acknowledge that, like, your edge guard and your offstage play wasn't, like, working out super hot. But there is a little bit of, like, you can't avoid it in this matchup. You can't just kind of, like, opt out and focus on other aspects of your play, just and kind of just cut it out because it's just too important, especially against this character who, like, he's really hard to, like, throw kill moves at safely, and his edge guard, his, like, recovery is his weak point. That's his most vulnerable because he's there forever. He's so floaty. But yeah, I understand your logic. I just think that maybe try looking at it like backwards next time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just like I assume a lot of the times Kirby's like follow-up trees for me open up with plats, and I was trying to like I thought that was the right choice because of that, but it turns out I was doubling down on something that wasn't going to work. So forcing like follow-ups that just weren't going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
So
it kind of seems like you picked Fountain for you, if that makes sense.
yeah, which is weird because I really it's not a me stage. I'd like it to be, but and it's a Kirby stage. But that was I guess that in general was the idea. So
Because, like, from Flarp's perspective, I know you obviously didn't pick Fountain, but, like, if Fountain's open, I feel like Flarp's just gonna go there
yeah.
because he's not going Green Hill. He's Smashville's fine, PS2's fine, Battlefield probably not, but, like, these low plats, oh man, this is Luigi heyday.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, also, the theater changes to those stages where it was super jarring in the sense that like he was just chilling under that, and it wasn't like going all the way to the ground. I think it was like a good change, but I was just like, oh no.
Wait, theater changes?
I think yeah, if the FOD platform doesn't, I think if you watch, doesn't go all the way to the ground.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think if I'm pretty sure that's correct. There are a couple changes, like I think in Dreamland, like Wispy doesn't do anything.
Well, that just sounds nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. It's just it was a little bit of a difference that I think also is something I should have taken into account.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's get into this game real quick. I like that you didn't follow there after this down B. You acknowledge that he just fully is out, and you can't really, like, get there in time. You can't overshoot that far as Kirby with that dash attack, and he's still at CC %. So I think this feint is great. That's about the best thing you can hope for. You get space out of it, and then you kind of just move on. I like that CC attempt. That was like the correct punish there. Because you don't have anything else that'll punish him that he can't CC. So attempting this grab is great, even if you're just a little too slow. Yeah, the spot dodge like goofed up the timing a little bit, which is fine. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Okay, that is prime real estate you are covering. That is a good call.
It's one of the like I'm just starting to use that. Just starting to use pivot up tilt more in the way that I should, but
because this is it's really tempting early in a game switch to start using the new stage stuff, especially for Luigi, who doesn't have the option of just like running at you like a normal human being.
Yeah,
he has too much healing in his shoes for that, so he's got to do his waveland stuff or just kind of like slowly pressure you. So I think covering this is a really, really good call. The same way that, like, if you start on PS2 against Kirby, you cover dash attack at round start, and then you play the game. But yeah, that got you a lot of... Like, it forced him to land. It forced him to make a decision on where to land, and he could have been wrong. Which is really, really important. You're right, it doesn't go all the way down. How did I not notice that? Oh, that's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it made like, granted I shouldn't in those like that angle should be challenging there, but it made it definitely harder to do so.
I need a second.
Yeah. Right?
Ooh. Yeah, get back up there. Good platform. Okay, so for this is the first time he really does this, but and you get it late in the set, but like the DI on down throw needs to be there for characters like this that don't have the mix up.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like not even a knowledge check, because like you know about it. You clearly are DIing correctly later in the set, but there's like four-ish times that you kind of just don't DI it correctly. Outside of like wacky situations where he like crosses you up or something. That's understandable. But it's just kind of like freebie. Like if someone DIs F throw wrong and dies to hammer at 70, it's like, okay, cool. They were wrong. Neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it gets more pronounced later in the set when you start using them a little differently. And I think that the commentator was exaggerating the effectiveness of your forward airs, but your forward airs are not really working out the longer the set goes.
No.
So like this is not the first or the last time that this fair kind of just like doesn't do much, even without significant SDI. Yeah. It's not a button you can press and like back up with safely and get reward at least. So you gotta either figure out a way to turn that into pressure as Luigi's trying to land, or just go for something else. Or acknowledge that you're not going to get the reward on it and kind of just, be okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, so here you end up sniping his jump. Oh, actually, wait, no, he had a jump there, didn't he? It's very close. I think he landed. Regardless, like this is an opportunity for you to at least you're literally at 0. You can't die here. Or, okay, maybe not. You can't die. It would take a wild edge guard reversal for you to die here. And you kind of just again, you don't really push your advantage. You don't go to ledge. You don't go off stage. And that's something you're going to need to do against characters. Well, against characters where that's a weak point of theirs. And also against players that you need every inch you can get, right?
Yep.
I will proudly admit to being the queen of back throw cheese because I need it. I don't care who I'm playing. If I know when I'm playing someone that good, it's I need everything I can get. I will fight dirty. I will use me to back throw, up throw. I will side B stage fight people. Mm-hmm. I'll throw rocks. I'll throw pocket sand. Get pocket sand down here.
Yep, unplug their controller. Yep, all that.
If it's in the rule set, I do it. But
if it's in the rule set.
I love the idea of an anything goes rule set. We're just anything except for physically touching your opponent, you can just do.
Yeah, that is amazing.
You can just pause.
You get real creative with it too.
Yeah, I think Eon actually didn't. I think she ended up doing some kind of wacky turned off her internet connection to almost emulate TAS in an online netplay tourney that had no rules. Where just kind of killed it in some way to where it's oh, here's what's happening, and then did whatever she was gonna do. We're talking about the no rules netplay tourney. Okay, but yeah, you need to enforce some kind of threat here.
Yep.
Because you need obviously if it works out that's great, but even if you're wrong, you need them to have to guess to be right. Oh, sorry. She just had the ability to frame advance. She didn't enter.
That's funny.
You just had that ability.
Just frame advance on. That's amazing.
God.
Can't miss your follow-ups if you're going frame by frame.
Certain Dolphin task tools work in netplay, you maniac. All right. So after this short hop dare, you try to grab the landing, but you're a little preemptive. And Luigi gets that classic second aerial out. You have other options here because Luigi's horizontal movement is so low in the air. Right? So let me actually back up just a little bit to where you see the dares there. From here, he can only really go here or here. He can't go super far. So an option I think is really worth considering, especially in this matchup, but even in other matchups, is run up shield. run up shield is one of my favorite things to do with characters with fast horizontal mobility because it enforces a kind of like, it completes that rock, paper, scissors, right? Of like, oh, I think Kirby's going to run up and grab me. I should either move or attack. Oh, I think Kirby's going to run up and hit me. I should either shield or move. And then if you run up shield, oh, I think Kirby's going to run up shield. I should either move or grab, which gives them more options to play with and more ways to be wrong.
Okay.
So for Luigi in this instance, right, he can't really he can't Wario or Puff drift.
No.
And if he double jumps, he really doesn't want to double jump. Like at this percent, if he hits you, you might be dead, but you also don't have to contest his down air. You just have to wait it out. So if you run up shield here, and part of this is also that like it would work in this instance, and that's why I'm illustrating it. If you run up shield, and give you a little Poyo.
Oh.
You run up shield, and it does its aerial. Great, you get your shield grab. He doesn't do an aerial. Great, he has to worry about your shield grab still, right? Like, is he going to do a late aerial down here? Is he going to just dare empty land? Is he going to dare wave land? If he dare wave land, can he really even punish you easily? Like, run up shield is introducing all of these variables, even after this one situation.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny how threatened I felt in those situations and also probably because I would like, instead of doing that or like reacting, I would just go out to meet him in the air, which, is...
You don't have the buttons for it.
No, I mean, theoretically, I could if I timed it right, but it's like such a scramble situation that I could just get counter hit.
It's also kind of expecting yourself to play perfectly. Like,
yeah.
It's not a fault of a player to admit that, if you're trying to intercept Luigi down there with Kirby Fair, it's not going to work out in your favor more often than not. Yeah. That's just the nature of, like, the two moves interacting, right?
Yeah.
If Luigi's short hopping, you're more afraid of him than you are, like, of contesting him than you are of, like, staying on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But by staying on the ground, you don't have to, like, beat him at his own game. You can just make fun of him for being super slow. Howdy. So yeah, it can be kind of tempting to get lulled into playing the same game as your opponent, but you don't have to. You can just do your stuff, right?
True.
Okay. And then I think there's a little bit more of the same, kind of like as the set goes on. And we are approaching time already.
Yeah.
But the last thing I wanted to hit here was just another example of like how immediately Flarp is willing to just double jump out of hit stun in this situation. Because he's not afraid of getting hit, right? Yeah. Like, you haven't convinced him that you're going to hit this double jump, so he's going to keep double jumping.
It's like I'm shadow boxing, like, him over there. Like, even though he's literally not.
Well, this is like human reaction time, right? So, like,
yeah.
This is, you do this at what, like 06? Let's back up 20 frames.
No, I'm way off.
I mean, that's 20 frames. And also, it's not like it's a huge visual cue.
Yeah.
But the point being that, like, until you make him not want to jump, he's just going to jump. Like, that's just how some players are. So, you're kind of doing more work than you need to. An easy way to kind of catch this kind of thing is just, if you notice the situation, to go, I'll just cover that next time. And if they don't mix it up, cool, you've hit them. Now they know they have to mix it up. If they do mix it up, cool. They visually acknowledged that you were going to hit them if they didn't mix it up. So now they know they have to mix it up. You kind of achieve your goal either way of getting them to worry about the situation. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm definitely starting to think that there's just merit into trying it alone. And that just letting them know that I could do that is vastly important. Even if I don't do it, at least trying it once. And that's been a big tone, is not trying these things, just trying not to, for whatever reason, not going for the quote risk of trying this option. And that just really bites me in the butt. Because I know all those situations, like I could be doing those things. Like you're not seeing me down air him in those situations you mentioned at all, which is honestly strange, because I feel like I should, or I feel like it's so obvious that I would, or in other matchups I have, you know. Um, but it is baffling to me, especially like
Well,
watching it again.
don't be that hard on yourself. It's just it's a big tournament, and it's nerves, right? Like that's fine. It's fine to
Earlier you
acknowledge that they're
said,
nerves.
well, earlier you said how like you can chalk up like a lot of bad decision making to nerves, but also it's not always that. The weird thing is I don't think I felt nervous per se. Like yeah, I of course I had nerves to some extent, but I don't recall feeling like genuinely nervous to the point where at least on like a conscious level, I think it really was just like a mentality going into the set rather than the environment itself, you know. And I'm sure you know the environment does play into it, but like I just didn't feel like super nervous, you know.
Gotcha.
At least in the moment, I'm not sure how to describe it, but uh, I think maybe it was just like a not just there wasn't this confidence that needed to be there, if anything. Um,
Yeah, it's something that helped me when I or helps present day when I kind of don't have confidence in a set is I kind of just do it anyway and let them prove me wrong
yeah,
because or rather let them prove me right. So like let's say oh last time Flarp jumped I think he's going to mix it up but I'll cover this area anyway just so that way he at least has to mix it up and then they jump in there and it's like oh cool that was and not for free in the sense that that was easy but like I didn't even think that would hit like that's just a surprise.
yeah,
Like it's not on you can create situations where it's on your opponent to like prove your insecurities or your lack of confidence or your belief that something won't work correct.
hmm
Okay, but yeah, like I mentioned, a lot of the rest of this set is kind of just more of the same, and we're already coming up a little past an hour.
yep,
So I think I kind of wanted to recap and then call it if that's cool.
yeah, that's fine.
Gotcha. Um, so kind of to recap, if you want that macro game plan, you can focus on your character, right? What does Kirby want to do in general? How does Kirby get his punish? How does he get his edge guards? What are Kirby's threatening options? Like pretend like you're fighting a Kirby player. Be like, oh, what am I looking out for in neutral? What am I looking out for in edge guards, etc. And to these different situations. And then from there, flip it, right? So like, oh, okay, as Kirby, my down air is really good at killing characters with bad vertical recoveries. Now ask yourself, what character am I playing against? Oh, I'm playing against Luigi. Luigi's vertical recovery is kind of bad. Let me spend a little more time thinking about edge guards. Or maybe, and then again, you can just kind of piggyback. Or punish situations that send off stage to edge guards. Or neutral options I have that are either that can send off stage relatively safely. So if you can get that kind of like grounding point to start building your plan around, then you can that can help when you get later in a set and it's getting a little wacky, right? You can still have that like, okay, he's still playing Luigi and I'm still good, down air will still kill him at 50 if I hit him. Additionally, I think if you wanted to look into secondaries, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think there's any shame in it. But it is going to be kind of the same thing, right? Of like, it might be easier, for example, if you want to pick up Luigi, to ask those questions about punish, neutral, edge guarding, simply because you're less familiar with the character. And that's the question you're going to have to ask, like, oh, what are my options in neutral how does Luigi kill? How does Luigi A, B, C, etc.?
Yeah,
But I think you can do that on Kirby as well.
yeah. I actually was starting to. I said I was gonna pick one up after theater. Not. I mean, part of it is like in case I want to cover some matchup, but also I was telling my friend earlier, a big part of it is just get a different perspective, which I think is really important. because Kirby is a far cry away in terms of a lot of the stuff he does and doesn't do compared to one of the other characters that I would like probably pick up. Um, it's funny I say that, and like one of the characters I used to play in the past was Mennonite. So, but
Kirby's a little bit of a weirdo. He looks at his situations his own way.
Yeah, yep. And I think that having like approaching the game from that a more conventional way, or at least like more quote conventional characters, would only serve to help me as well, because I can have perspective and relate back to like how that character does it versus like what do I need to do to accomplish the same thing with Kirby or something similar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Kirby has some of the tools to kind of play that generalized game, right? So like the run speed, the grab range, the dash dance. So like even playing top tiers that are very like Jack plus of all trades, you can still, that experience is still valuable. That perspective is still useful. You can still, whether you realize, oh, I have the most fun playing Kirby. I want to commit to Kirby, but I've learned things. Or you go, oh, hey, in this matchup, I like playing Metalink more, right? It's still a useful part of your time, so long as you're having fun or you're putting it towards some kind of learning you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably, if not Mennonite, who would logically make sense since that was my old main, it was going to be Sheik. And, Sheik is very that, as you described. Fun days based and jack of all trades. So,
yep.
Yep.
All right. Well, definitely keep me updated. I'm super down to, if you ever want to talk through some of this stuff without like having a full session, I'm super down.
Oh, I appreciate that. Though, I definitely want to review at least one more of these VODs. I'll probably book you for another day soon.
Perfect.
I'm actually, I was planning, the money that I made from showing up and losing, I was just going to put towards these sessions since it was money I earned from the game, and I want to, put it towards getting better at it. So
that's really flattering, and no complaint from me, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I mean these sessions have been super helpful so far. So I'm glad. I appreciate it. It's nice to have that other perspective, because like saying I looked at the Flarp bot already, and I like even then didn't even like recognize like, oh, why am I not down airing in this situation? Like stuff like that. So having another set of eyes, especially yours, is helpful. So
I'm glad.
And I'm sure doing multiple of these will help for contextualizing some greater problems. So that's kind of the idea as well. Whichever set they may be, it'll just probably be like Sosa or something.
Sosa's really good at showing you what you're bad at. He has some kind of sick enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, and it's funny because like before that I never met him, and when I like met him in person and talked to him, he was really nice. He's a really nice guy. He's just cracked at the game, and it's pretty brutal to fight against.
Oh yeah,
totally different. From my the other little warrior experience I have, but definitely and in that matchup in particular, I went in saying I'm going to use this game plan that Violent and I came up with, and whether or not I adhered to it, I just felt like I was like, oh no, it's not working.
Yeah, so. You can be up to 4 stocks to 2, and you'll still feel like, oh, it's not good. He's going to do something. You're still waiting for it to go wrong. Yeah, I've had that experience against Sosa.
Lost on deck. You know what's up. Yeah.
Yeah, we're basically tied. It's 4 stocks to 2, but he has wobbled.
Yeah, I like making the joke that just facetiously with Kirby, it's like with characters like that, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm at 20, I'm at death percent. He's got waft, but yeah.
God.
But yeah, no, it was I actually don't mind that matchup, and that set I felt, even though it was literally a 3-0, I was like, this felt more understandable to me than some of the other sets. But
awesome.
That's good. Yeah, this set in particular with Flarp, obviously, especially now, I have a much better understanding of where I need to improve. But right after it, I was like, what do I do?
He just kind of wave dashed and jumped, but only a little bit. And what happened?
He's so smart. Yeah.
Flarp's smart.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream. Thank you all for hanging out. Ava, I would love for you to get some sets for us to review. That'd be awesome. You should do that already. Gosh. Thank you all for hanging out. Catch you all later.